Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Meaningful Motivations with Tracy Erickson. And of course, if you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Tracy Erickson, and in this video, I'm going to be doing a face reading and body language reading of Gypsy Rose and Claudine DeeDee Blanchard. So stay tuned. A little over a year ago, Gypsy Rose was released from prison, and that was for the murder of her mother, Claudine Blanchard, otherwise known as DeeDee Blanchard. Right now, a little over a year later, Gypsy Rose seems to be in the spotlight because of her series on Lifetime, as well as all of the media interviews and other things that she's been doing throughout the years. And she has basically been profiting off of her crime since the crime took place. I recently came across a channel here on YouTube called Becca Scoops. And on Becca Scoops' channel, she has done multiple documentaries on Gypsy Rose and basically highlighting things that Gypsy herself has said and done based on, police reports, based on camera footages, and based on her text messages and emails and other correspondences between her and her co-defendant, Nicholas Godejohn. So if you haven't checked out the series over there on the channel Becca Scoops, I do highly recommend checking that out for yourself. Since I actually spent all that time watching this documentary series about Gypsy Rose, as well as her mother, DeeDee, I decided to do a little face reading of my own so that I could kind of get a deeper understanding of how I feel about this situation between Gypsy and her mother, DeeDee. So I basically just went to Google Images and I looked up as many images of Gypsy and her mother, DeeDee, as possible. As I was looking through all of the images of Gypsy along with her mother, DeeDee, there was something that stood out to me right away. And that was DeeDee's body language, as well as Gypsy's body language. In basically all of the images that show both DeeDee and Gypsy together, you would notice that DeeDee really does have overbearing body language towards Gypsy Rose. So I do find that to be interesting as far as body language is concerned, because Gypsy has claimed that her mom is loving and nurturing, yet very overbearing at times. And now in these images, when it comes to Gypsy Rose, in her more earlier years, you could tell that Gypsy was very safe and secure in those overbearing arms of her mother as well. So at least in her younger years, she was very happy and content with this style of parenting. The second thing I noticed right away when I was looking at these images of DeeDee along with her daughter, Gypsy Rose, and that is that DeeDee Blanchard was still pretty slim at the time that Gypsy was a baby. But the weight that she gained actually happened after Gypsy was already born. And so it seems that she gradually just gained weight as time went on after the birth. I decided to take a look at Dr. Daniel Condren's book, Permanent Healing, to see what the thought caused, the characteristics or attitudes of DeeDee's thinking would lead to such weight gain. And in the little glossary of diseases, I did find overweight. And here's the mental attitude or thought cause for being overweight. It says fear of being hurt, believing one needs to protect or defend the self. Unfulfilled desires give rise to mistrust. thinking you are being cheated, not receiving, and attachments. And when I looked up overweight, it said to see also fat. So I looked up fat, and the thought cause or mental attitude that leads to that is an attitude of being hurt. Therefore, one is not open to giving. Attitude of being cheated due to comparisons being made and finding the self lacking. And I found that so interesting because if I have the timeline right in my head, I believe that Gypsy Rose's father actually left DeeDee Blanchard for someone else shortly after DeeDee gave birth to Gypsy Rose. So that would lead to a lot of emotional hurt, a lot of being closed off emotionally and feel not open to giving, and this attitude of being cheated due to comparisons being made and finding the self lacking. So I found that to be very interesting when it came to, the workings of DeeDee Blanchard as well. While I was going through images of Gypsy's face in order to kind of get a little reading on her face itself, another thing that I noticed right away is that Gypsy Rose has multiple visible moles on her face. So I decided to take a look at those moles and see what the meaning would be based on this book, Moles or Birthmarks and Their Signification to Man and Woman by Maud Wheeler. And this is a book from the 1800s, but it kind of gives a little description of what it could mean if you have moles placed in different areas of your body. Let's go ahead and start with this mole that you can see on the left side of Gypsy's chin. Within the book, it says, a mole on the left side of the chin shows flippancy in a woman, love of admiration, bad health, and danger by water. And in case you didn't know, flippancy in a woman is not necessarily a positive trait. It's actually a very negative trait indeed. Now, a mole on the right side of the chin predicts to a woman that she will marry the man she loves at a very early age and be happy with him. If it's black, she will be less fortunate. I would consider the moles that I have already highlighted on Gypsy's face to be considered black moles, because within the book, there are only 3 colors of mole that are described, and the colors are black, red, or honey-colored. So this is clearly not a red mole, and it's not a honey-colored mole, which would be the lighter moles that are more easily covered up with makeup, for instance. A mole on the left temple announces many travels to a woman after her marriage. She will be too impulsive in her conduct and have delicate health, especially as she gets older. If it's black, she may meet a violent death. I think in Gypsy's case, if that mole is black, it wasn't that she would meet a violent death, but that she would cause a violent death. Unfortunately, the mole that is located near Gypsy Rose's hairline was, for some reason, omitted from this book, because on the chart, it looks like the closest mole here would be mole number 15, but the book skips from number 14 all the way to number 19. So even all of the moles near that mole weren't really covered. So I'm not going to be giving any description for that one right there. And for a mole on the left cheek, the book says that the mole on the left cheek announces misfortune in love to a woman and a short life. And a mole in the middle of the left cheek signifies to any subject constant changes, an early death, and the liability to catch diseases. And as far as these 2 markings that you see in the seat of stamp area on the brow bone, I'm going to refer to The Wisdom of Your Face by Jean Hanner. And in that book it says, if there's a mole in the seat of stamp in the brow bone, this is both positive and negative. It shows potential for great power and bodes very well for your career because it's extra key to do with your professional ambition and drive. But it's considered unlucky for marriage since it also implies that you may be so focused on your success or have such issues about control and authority that it could affect your personal relationships. Now we are finally going to kind of zoom in on the faces and features of Gypsy Rose and her mother, DeeDee Blanchard, and basically get a little glimpse as to their inner workings when it comes to the art of Chinese face reading. While taking a look at the eyes of DeeDee Blanchard and her daughter, Gypsy Rose, I see that they both have deep-set, narrow eyes. And so they have a similar expression here when it comes to the meaning of these kind of eyes. So people who have narrow eyes or a more narrow eye, they're less emotionally open. So they have a nature to just stay more closed off to their true emotions and how they really feel about things. And people who have deep-set eyes show a more private temperament. So someone with narrow and deep-set eyes are very private when it comes to their life, but especially their emotions. Gypsy's original nose, before she got plastic surgery, actually had a very prominent bump just below the bridge. And a person that has a prominent bump below the bridge of the nose, similar to Gypsy Rose's nose, these people show a need to be in charge. So this nose itself proves that Gypsy does have a strong desire to take charge of situations in her life that she feels are not going her way. So this honestly kind of proves that she would push away from her mother's overbearing nature as she grew older. And when looking at DeeDee Blanchard's nose, you will see that she has a very downturned nose that is covering a lot of that space between the nose and the mouth. And her nose is also more of a fleshier nose. So this downturned nose that covers that space between the nose and mouth will show that this person has a good skill with investments. So that type of nose actually does indeed prove that DeeDee liked to get money out of things, right? And then the fleshier feature of DeeDee's nose would indicate that there's an enjoyment of material pleasures. So when looking at DeeDee Blanchard's nose, you can definitely tell that she liked to get money and she likes to spend money. And when taking a look at the lips or the mouth of both DeeDee and Gypsy, they both have a pretty good size mouth, and Gypsy's lips are quite a bit thicker than DeeDee's lips, but both of them seem to have a thicker lower lip. And this thicker lower lip does show a potential for overindulgence. So that is a characteristic that both DeeDee and Gypsy could share. Now, as far as DeeDee's lips being even thinner than Gypsy's, this shows even more that she really holds back when it comes to her emotions. So really, DeeDee, although she seems very happy and all of that outwardly, she was not an emotionally available mother to Gypsy. And when taking a look at the chin of DeeDee Blanchard, you will see that she has a very strong chin. And this would indicate a very strong will. But this strong will can also mean that the person with the strong chin has a very stubborn nature. So this kind of goes hand in hand with that overbearing personality, though, that we already know DeeDee to have. And when I look at Gypsy Rose's chin, I really kind of see a receding chin here. And someone who has a receding chin is someone who may have had some oppression early on in life. And that does make sense if you consider the overbearing and stubborn characteristics that we see in DeeDee Blanchard. So the chin does show that there was some type of oppression in life, but it can also just mean that she's very pessimistic, very passive, and can give up easily. I would love to know your guys' thoughts about the body language and face reading of Gypsy Rose and DeeDee Blanchard. Give me your thoughts regarding what was revealed through the face reading, as well as how that kind of correlates to the crime that took place and how everything has kind of played out since it has happened. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. So if you like this video, be sure to click that like button. And of course, if you're a viewer but not yet a subscriber, I would love for you to click subscribe down below. And once you have subscribed, you can turn on that notifications bell if you would like to be notified each and every time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your time with me. I love you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.